All right, I think we are live. Hey, everybody, Rich Groves here. I just wanted to welcome you all to our social media live for our Gateway to Freedom Real Estate Investing Conference. And if you don't know what that is, let me tell you a little bit about it real quick. So, November 4th and 5th, St. Louis is going to host a groundbreaking event, first of its kind, being held here in St. Louis. It's a 2-day real estate investing conference. We're basically having 17 great real estate investor expert speakers coming out to share their 200 years of collective knowledge and experience with you for an unprecedented opportunity. And you can join us for this invaluable knowledge, this opportunity, network with industry leaders, and take your first steps or continue your steps to financial freedom. Don't miss out on this awesome opportunity. And I have the fantastic honor of introducing you, or if you don't know him, telling you and introducing you to Matt Hayes, one of our speakers at Gateway to Freedom. And he's going to be my guest here in just a couple seconds. I'm going to bring him on. But let me tell you a little bit about Matt, and I'm going to have him share more of his story with you. But Matt started out in his early 20s, like a lot of us do, grinding. But Matt actually had a little bit more grind in him because he was doing 3 jobs, at a time. 18 to 20 hours a day, that kind of thing. And it didn't take him long to realize this isn't cutting it. When you're just, living on ramen noodles and drinking Red Bull, you really quickly decide that, this isn't going to cut it. So like within 2 years, he realized he was, all he was doing was trading his body for, and time for money. So he found the little purple book that a lot of you may or may not know about, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it changed his life. So he has done thousands of deals from just about anything and everything in real estate. But right now, Matt focuses 100% on short-term rentals, and he launches STR Accelerator Academy with his partner Noah to help people achieve true financial freedom. And that's what this conference is all about. So let me bring on Matt to have a conversation and let you all get to know Matt a little better. Let me stop sharing this real quick and bring on Matt. So Matt, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
What's up, Rich? Good morning to you, man.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining us so early in the morning.
Yeah, man. Look at you gotta get shit done, dude. You can't early is 4.
That's right. I know. We've probably both been up super earlier than this, but a lot of people probably, hey, good morning, Tawana. We got people already. Glad to be a part of it. Oh, that's you. All right. So good morning, everybody out there. Tawana, a good friend of mine from back in the day, is on. She's an awesome LinkedIn coach as well. So, but Matt, tell you what, buddy, let me start off. Why don't you tell a little? I know I just gave the super Cliff Notes version of your already Cliff Notes bio out on the website, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, man. So my background, I'd say it was in my early 20s. It was like a lot of people. I was just trying to figure out the game. I was young and dumb. I didn't have a coach or a mentor or direction, somebody pushing me and probing me and giving me advice and stuff and stuff. So I just went out and got as many jobs as I could. I probably had 3 or 4 side hustles going on at once. I was doing everything I could because I was always an extremely ambitious person and a ridiculously hard worker. I come from a bloodline of entrepreneurs, so we were always trying to carve out our piece of the pie, whichever way we could. So, I was literally working probably 20 hours a day, no joke, 2 full-time jobs, and working on the weekends too. So I always laugh, but at the end of the day, Tuesday, I would put in a full week's worth of work that most people are doing. And I was married young too. And of course it's young now to people, but back in the 50s and 60s, I was old. But I got married in my early 20s. And I didn't party. I didn't drink. I didn't do all the things that I was doing in my young and dumb era for, I guess, that short-lived 2 years, right? After high school, then to getting married. But the point I'm trying to make is that, like, you don't need to wait until you're 30 or 40 or 50 to try to figure out what you need to do. You need to put away the distractions, and you need to do what matters. And so that the way I look at it, and Kobe Bryant says it the best, and I am paraphrasing this, But the why he would train, and he would see players come to the majors and they would just go to practice, the 3-4 hour practice. That's all they would do once they get there. Well, he got there and he doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down, and he would work 2 times, 3 times, 4 times as hard. So he put in those 3 hours, and then he would put in an additional 6 to 8 hours of training. And so every year he'd be 2 or 3 months ahead of everybody else. And then year 2, year 3, year 4, you'd be years ahead of everybody else. And that's kind of where I am. People are wondering how Blair and I have, got this overnight success. Trust me, man, it was not an overnight success. It was a long grinding, making good strategic decisions, but it was also failing miserably in a lot of different things and learning from those failures and doing all this. And man, when I got started, we couldn't do this. There was no internet. I mean, there was internet, but eBay wasn't even around, PayPal, Facebook, YouTube, none of these social media platforms. So the only way you could learn real estate was from a frigging book. So you got to grab the book, you got to read it, you got to comprehend the knowledge. And me, I'm a slow reader. I read it probably like 2 times slow speed. So I'd read the thing 2 or 3 times before I totally grasped it. And then, and that was in 2003, when I first read that book. But anyways, I mean, I could go on and on about my journey. It was a lot of fun. And it still is a lot of fun, man. I have truly done every little aspect of this business, between the trailers and the land, fix and flips, short-term rentals, long-term rentals, wholesaling. Oh my gosh. I mean, multifamily, all this stuff. It's been fun. And my wife and I now, man, we're doubling down on short-term rentals. And there's a story behind that too. So,
that leads into let me lead in another question. I mean, because it's phenomenal. You make some great points there that and even like you paraphrasing like Gary V. If anybody doesn't know about Gary Vaynerchuk, it's like everybody thinks you're lucky or you just stumbled upon success because they don't see all the work and the hustle and the grind you're doing behind the scenes. And so that's huge. It really is, and that's key. Behind every success isn't luck. It's a lot of hard work and failure. Like you said, successful decisions and bad decisions. You got to work through them both, right? And the failures come with the success.
Yeah, I believe in the 10% rule. So one for every 9 bad decisions, you have 1 good one that works.
Yeah.
So, but you just have to learn from the other 9, and if you don't learn from them, you're an idiot. And I'm sorry.
I know you're right. You're right. That is the definition of insanity, right? Is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Yeah.
But you were just getting ready to lead into that, and I apologize. I cut you off because it was going to be my next question. But so you've done all kinds of real estate investing. You've got all this experience, and it's phenomenal. But how did you actually come to the decision that you thought, you're known as the Airbnb beast, and I love that tag. I love that name. It's phenomenal. But how did you come to the decision that short-term rentals was the path you wanted to take? And real quickly, just tell people what short-term rentals are.
Yeah, so short-term rental, basically, it is a property, whether it's a condo, an apartment, or a house, or a multifamily, or whatever it is, and then you're putting it on Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, and you're renting it out from 1 to 30 nights. So it's not a year-long lease; it's not a monthly lease. It is people traveling to the area to stay at your properties. And it was actually very interesting on how we truly got into this business. And so, let's see, 4 years ago, we bought our first one, and it was in Florida. And we bought it just to have a beach house and have it pay for itself. And so we did that. And we started making like 8, 9, 10, 12,000 extra every single month. I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy, man. The house was always in pristine condition. It's always professionally cleaned. And then all the maintenance is taken care of. Or paid for, right? All the maintenance is paid for, all the utilities, the payments, all of that stuff. And I get to depreciate it. So it's not like owning a second home where you just get to have after tax money pay for the property. This is before tax money is paying for it, and my guests are paying for it. So we saw the money that was making. So then we bought another one in Florida, and then we bought another one, and another one, and another one, and it quickly spiraled. It like this is like truly now the way. And then I had started seeing people just convert, normal suburb houses into short-term rentals. And I'm like, bullshit. And my buddy, Jason Palliser was like, dude, Jess is making like 90 grand a year off this one little house. I was like, they're gross. And I'm like, oh, bullshit. And he pulls out his phone and goes to his thing. And I'm like, threw him in the pool with his phone in his hand. But anyways, so then fast forward, we started accumulating a few. I never turned it into a total business because at that time I was running my wholesale company and my flipping company. And anybody that's ever done those on a large scale knows that's an insane amount of stress. And I bit off more than I could chew last year. Last year was probably one of the most stressful years of my life because, we had grown our company too fast. We hired people out of desperation. So we ended up hiring the wrong people. We hired some some motivated lazy people, which is a bad combination. And I ended up having close to 42 flips get pulled out from underneath me. So we had a hedge fund that was just buying our properties like left and right. We'd buy it, we'd renovate it, and we'd sell it to them. And they would always give me the contract before I would even buy it. So it was honestly a really, really good, lucrative deal because they were paying ridiculous numbers, man. I mean, the money was cheap and there was a lot to go around. So, normal house that would retail for $350, they'd pay $400. So it was insanely good money. But then I got humbled real quickly when we had all these rehabs, all these construction bills, all this stuff going on, and then they just pulled it out and canceled all 42 contracts. So we scrambled, and I worked through it, and we are happy to say that as of December 15th of last year, we were able to get. I fired sales some, I wholesaled a few that I was due to close on, and renovated some, flipped some, turned some into short-term rentals, some into long-term rentals. But then we just started seeing that that short-term rentals in suburbs could do really, really well. And I would get probably 6 to 10 times more cash flow than all of my long-term rentals. Now, there's more involved in the short-term rental. It is not passive income. It's active income. And so we quickly totally morphed our business and mindset that, we need to focus on one thing. And that one thing is now short-term rentals. And so, my biggest takeaway from the mess of last year is I met all my obligations with everybody. So all my creditors, all my debts. I had properties that were under contract that I probably should not have purchased, but I still purchased them, and had some pretty big wounds from it. But, plus I was making a bunch of money prior to that. So honestly, I worked for free for 2 years with a lot of stress. It's kind of what happened. So at the end of the day, we started realizing that, and, I got hooked up with Collective Genius. And anybody doesn't know that, it's just a really good mastermind group. So a lot of the speakers you've got coming are involved in that. So one cool thing that Mike Watson told me, and some of the other CG members is he learned some lessons the hard way. And one of those was trying to chase down too many avenues instead of just being really, really, really freaking good at one. And so if you're a surgeon, if you're a dentist, if you're a home flipper, if you are a Bible salesman, wholesaler, short-term rental guy, whatever you are, I would encourage anybody to just double down, triple down on what they're already doing and just see how big it can be. And that was my mistake. Dude, we had a marketing company going on. We started a podcast. We were trying to wholesale. We were trying to flip. We were trying to short-term rent, long-term rent. we were trying to do all this. And then my financial guy was like, dude, this is just one big bowl of spaghetti. And I'm trying to get it all your LLCs and all this stuff. And, it looks all clean on the surface on social media because people only see the 1% of what the hell you're actually doing. And it's usually the shiny part. So, man, I mean, I got my butt whooped last year, but, dude, we powered through it. And, sitting here today, very thankful that it happened because it really got me to kind of shrink some things down that shouldn't have been so big and trying to do so many various things. And I understand there's a lot of people out there who've got a lot of success growing their business and getting to that level. But when you're trying to run all these contracting crews and do all these things and home flipping, man, I think it's truly a mistake unless you have 20 people, unless you own a construction company. I got ripped off so many times last year by bullshit contractors. It was ridiculous. So on top of that, on top of a few $100,000 in sewer malfunctions, buying houses as is, right? No inspections. And then you find out there's a septic on the property and it's not even working or functional, and you got to tie into the city sewer. That, a lot of expenses went out the door last year, but luckily the power of real estate was able to keep me afloat through this whole thing because the cash flow that we had coming in through all the short-term rentals was paying the bills. And so now it's honestly gravy because we got rid of all the other bullshit, all the marketing that we were doing, the thousands and thousands of dollars we were dumping into marketing to try to get those wholesale leads. It's like, so at the end of the day, dude, like if people could just take away one thing from this event, and that is to choose the strategy they want to do. And it's okay being a solopreneur. A lot of people think that you got to go get 6, 7, 8 people on your team. And I'm not saying that's a bad idea, but what I am saying is that you really need to be really fucking good at the first thing, then go out there and start slowly building talent, because I'm in my 40s now. So one thing that's been abundantly clear is that now it's time to really just start mastering this one thing and get focused and not doing so many things. So if you're doing furniture flipping, like, okay, how can you tweak furniture flipping just a little bit more and be better at that? If you want to be a wholesaler, all right, you should not be flipping right now. You should not be getting long-term rentals and short-term rentals and doing all that stuff. You should be the best at that strategy. How about you get a few more leads? How about you figure how to get in the circle of people that are doing that skill at a higher level? So that's what I like doing. I like getting around people that have a good friend of mine in Florida. He's got 130 short-term rentals. So I love listening to him and how he's operating his company and what he's doing on marketing and where he's buying his soaps from. We spend $150,000 a year on laundry. He spends over $1 million. So it's like, okay, well, how can I get, instead of spending $150 on laundry, how can I spend $125? And then guess what? I just got a $25,000 raise. So anyways, I could go on and on about all this kind of stuff. But, if you got questions, man, I'm here.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Because that's those are the kind of things people don't hear. They hear about the well, let's just get out there and get into real estate investing. And like you said, I think that's a huge thing. That's a huge pitfall for people is they try to take on too much and they don't want to get good. Like you said, really, really good at one thing. They want to do a little bit of everything, and they end up drowning. So that's great. That's great.
Yeah, or they and that's just, or they try it for 2 weeks and be like, oh, that didn't work.
Yeah.
Or you tried it for a month. Dude, if you really want to try something, you need to try it for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying you got to go the full 2 years, but you got to at least give it 6 months.
Right.
See if you can gain some traction. And if it's not working, figure out how to tweak it. Don't just give up.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like last year was a real big struggle for you as far as, working through all the stuff you were facing. Like you said, the stress, not necessarily financial trouble. I'm not saying that, but the stress. I completely get that.
Oh, yeah.
So would you say, or let me start with that question. I had a couple questions lined up for you, but I'll start with that one. I hate starting with the negative one, but what would you say? I mean, was that, or was there a different through the entire time you've been a real estate investor, what would you say your biggest lesson learned was? Or I don't want to use the word failure, but your biggest lesson learned.
You have to watch every single little detail of your business. You cannot hire people to solve your problems. You need to make sure, I don't care if you're a micromanager, you need to be a micromanaging son of a bitch. Period. It is your money. And the way that I look at that is, if I'm getting heart surgery, if my chest is wide open and I'm on the table, that freaking surgeon better micromanage the shit out of all those 8 people in that room. No, that's not how you do it. Give me the damn scalpel. I'll take care of business.
True.
People want to get lazy too quickly. That's my struggle. Dude, last year, I tell you what, it built me so freaking tough. Yeah. I can fucking deal with anything now. Anything. Bring it. Things that stress the living crap out of people. People freak out. I'm just like, okay, let's deal with it, right? You know, city condemned one of my houses last year. Condemned the son of a bitch. And at the time, I'm like, I'll figure this out. It ain't a big deal. Like, whatever. City wants it. They can have it. So, I mean, that is wholeheartedly my lesson, is that you have got to look at all the details, and you need to keep it small and keep it all until the timing is right to grow the way that you should be growing. Mm-hmm. So if you want to have this philosophy, well, because this is all we hear is that, hire an integrator, hire this person, hire that person so you can go on vacation and go on the beach and sip some Mai Tais and bullshit. Dude, unless you are really, really skilled and hire the perfect people, okay, I'm not saying that's a dream, but that you're only listening to the guys on social media that are making all that look fancy. It takes time to do those sorts of things. So if you rush to build and put all those pieces together and not truly immerse yourself in that thing, that's what I realized, is that wholesaling. Let's just take that one because it's the sexiest. Everybody can get into it, with no money and get after it. You must immerse yourself into wholesaling like it is the only thing that exists to you, and it is if you are drowning. And you must treat that like air. So what I mean by that is, this comes from E.T., Eric Thomas, that big motivational speaker. I love listening to this man. The guru he tells his story about the guru, right? How do you succeed in life? And so he goes down into the beach, goes to the water, and he holds the guy underwater, puts his foot on his chest and holds him down. And then he comes up gasping for air. You almost killed me. And he's like, until you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then talk to me about success. That's what needs to happen, right? So my point is that until you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, and that's becoming obsessed.
Yeah. I'm
obsessed with success. I'm sorry. I have a fucking financial duty to my family. I've got 4 kids. They are expensive, and I want to do the things that we do. So I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep charging hard like a freaking freight train. So if you want to get on the train with me, let's go. But I'm not going to have any anchors. And I think that's what I did last year, is I hired some boat anchors that came on and just expected to, do all these things. And just having that payroll every 2 weeks, man, go out the door and then look at what the people were doing and what they were bringing into the company. And I'm like, Blair and I just looked at ourselves. So we completely scaled our company back. And the change is just astronomical. So I know that is a long-winded answer to what is my lesson, but it's being exceptionally good at one thing. So, if you're going to be a home flipper, I really want you in that rehab every single day. I want you learning how to lay tile, learning how to do LVP, understanding the codes. When you hear experienced contractors talk, listen to them about the codes and the things. I don't hire any young contractors. If you're not 40, you're not stepping foot in my house. I need those years of experience. I'm not saying that I have laborers that are in their 20s and then in high school and stuff like that. But the people misconstrue that, saying that I'm being prejudiced against younger people, not willing to let them learn. No, they're not going to learn on my house. I want them to be the most skilled labor because I want those years of experience. I want, oh, wait, that's an asbestos product built in 1962 by this company. Like, I want them to just spot those things. And so the people that are on all my rehabs, because we still rehab properties, we just keep them now. I don't flip them anymore.
Okay.
And so with short-term rentals, it's like flipping that house every single year,
Right.
but I get to keep it. So that's why I love the skilled labor. So if you're a home flipper, or even if you're just starting out, that can't be a side hustle for you. You have to immerse yourself into that flip. You have to know the exact square footage, exactly what kind of windows you have. You have to know your budget. You don't let contractors buy materials. You go get the materials. You shop for the best materials, the cheapest materials, on a budget. You scour eBay for them 10%, 5% coupons. You do everything humanly possible to keep that property on budget. But if you just let a contractor go in there and knock things out and he'll go buy stuff, he's not watching your money like you would watch your money. So you'll lose. I just gave somebody $5,000 right there, and that a piece of advice by watching your own dang flip, buying your own materials. Because I guarantee you, a contractor is going to buy more 2x4s that he needs, more shingles that he needs, more tile that he needs. Where do you think that stuff's going to end up when he's done? It's going to end up in the back of his pickup truck, and he's going to say, oh, yeah, I just took it off the site because I didn't think you wanted it there. And it's going to go into his shop with all the other materials. In 5 years, he's going to build himself a little cabin in the woods or something. So the point I'm trying to make there is that, you buy the materials, you check the reviews of those contractors, you make sure that you're getting a good solid one, and you put out a good product. Because right now, you can still flip if you put out a premium product. Nobody's buying shit boxes right now on the retail level. But if you got a sexy house, you can definitely make some good money with it. But if you're not watching your rehab, it could all go out the door. The flip is made or broken in the rehab of that property.
Gotcha. Yep, it sure is. It sure is. And I know I'm running out of time with you, buddy. This is awesome.
I got time, man. I got so much.
Okay, cool. No, that's good. That's cool. Well, on the flip side of that coin, let me ask this then: what would you say was your proudest moment or your biggest success as a real estate investor?
Honestly, man, it's realizing the power of it, and the power of leverage, and why I talk about the power of leverage a lot to a lot of people that just want to save money or invest in the stock market or anything like that. And I would also say the opportunity that it creates for you to create financial freedom. But the power of leverage goes like this. So if I have $100,000, I worked my ass off. This is after tax money. When I talk about after tax money, that's the paycheck you receive and you deposit in your bank. Whether you did a side hustle, second job, first job, whatever you did to get that money. You got that money. Now it's $100,000. It's sitting in the bank. It is earning maybe 4 to 5% on a CD at best right now. So if you were to go buy stocks, bonds, mutual funds, give it to a financial investor, whatever, to rake you over the coals with fees, put it in an IRA, whatever you want to do, if you have $100,000, you're going to buy $100,000 worth of stocks or bonds. And then if you sell it, you're only going to get $100,000 worth of stocks or bonds. So my point is that you can take that $100,000 and you can buy close to, I'm going to hypothetically say, $500,000 to $750,000 worth of real estate. Now, let's say the stocks or bonds goes up 10%. That's $10,000 in equity built, right? If the real estate goes up 10%, that's $50,000 to $75,000 on just a 10% gain. And real estate is going up anywhere from 4.5% to 6.5% every single year. It's going to happen. The supply is incredibly low. People are not going to be selling those 2% rates. So you're going to continue to see real estate appreciate time and time and time again over the course of, history here. So, and the government's never going to be able to figure out how to stop printing money. So the funny money is going to come out and it's going to make everything harder. Every phone, every cup, every gallon of milk until it goes bad or spoils is going to be worth more than it was the day you purchased it. So I would rather own something with sticks and bricks, something that has that has a need. The word's not hitting me, but it is a need that's out there. It's not a want basis. That house has a want or has a need. So the most valuable lesson I've learned is how to leverage that, how to leverage it correctly. A lot of people like to stretch that leverage all the way up to 90%. And I think that's a mistake. I think you should be looking at somewhere between 20% to 25% equity in every single deal. If you want to push it that high, just understand that those banks could be calling those notes if the real estate drops 10, 15, 20%. And it would happen in some of these markets that if the real estate goes up at 25% one year, understand that it can come down just as fast. So that's why I love the Midwest here, man. Things happen a little bit slower. You know, my IQ is not as high, I guess, as somebody in California. You know, I'm good. I talk a little slow. Takes me a little while to read, but I can tell you I can crunch some numbers, man.
That's right.
And I would rather know. And so this is what we're doing is we're buying assets that I know that can be crossed over to a long-term rental, crossed over to potentially just a flip or a homeowner. So I might want to trade up. It's the game of Monopoly. So I don't flip houses anymore. I flip them every year. So we can make 30 to 50 grand net profit off of one single family property. So that's just like flipping the damn house, only I get to keep it. And that happens year over year over year. So what I like to do is I like to put 3 or 4 of those cards on the table, the game Monopoly. And then what I'll do is after 3 or 4 years, I'll sell them. I'll trade up to something cooler, bigger. But I love being diversified in a lot of different areas and a lot of different markets. And so, you know, definitely be careful when you're doing that. But why I like this is so as my tenants or as my guests are paying those mortgages down, they're also appreciating. So it's creating this gap. So right now the gap is like this. It's at 25%, 20% when you buy it. But because I always buy at a discount. So there's always about 10% equity in every deal by the time I'm done.
Sure.
Rehab, purchase price, all that stuff. So we have about 25% equity in each deal. Let me make sure I said that right. 10% because I bought it at a discount and then I put money down on the deal. So I got about 25% gap here. But as time goes on, that gap's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's the equity. That is the non-taxable equity in that property. So I have 2 things that I can do to access that equity. The first thing that I can do is do a refinance. So every time my portfolio now gets to 52.5%, I will do a cash out refi up to 75% on the whole portfolio. Now the rate's got to be good and timing's got to be good and all that stuff too. I'll do a cash out refi. I'll take half that cash and I'll set it aside, put it into a CD, whatever, let it lose its money. I don't care. Point is to have the cash. And then the other half of the money, I go and buy more real estate. So I add to that portfolio, and I do that over the period of time. So every 4 to 5 years, a refi event is triggered, and then my goal is to have a $250 million portfolio in 20 years from today. So in 2043, when I'm close to 60 years old, that's the plan, and it's all going to be built doing this same model. That's the power of leverage. If I were to take that same exact money and put it into, I don't know, stocks and bonds and all that stuff with financial advisor, which I know a couple of really good ones, but maybe 5 or 6 million, maybe 7. Like I'm going to go for the 250, and all this is done with just a couple of people. This is not some, big old Grant Cardone deal here where I've got all these, people and layers and jets and shit. No, dude, I drive a pickup truck. I'm trying to keep shit small, keep it all. That's another lesson too, man. I mean, right there is, don't get so. I got a video out there. It's on my YouTube channel. It is what I wish I would have told myself when I was 18 years old. I am not YouTube famous. It's probably got 100 views on the damn thing, but I can guarantee you that it has all the knowledge that somebody that's 20 years old would want to know. And one of those things is don't get sucked into whole payments. And that's what Dave Ramsey and I get. I agree with him on this. He doesn't know who I am, so I was about to say we get along on this topic. I know who he is. Everybody knows who he is.
Right.
But I agree with just about everything he says until he gets to real estate. And he forgets the whole power of leverage piece. But when it comes to when you're young and you're getting payments and stuff like that, it's just such a bad idea because then you get a slave to that job and you can't make good decisions having all those payments weighing you down like that. So if you're young and you're watching this right now, please, for the love of God, do not go buy that brand new car because somebody else has got that brand new car. You're not keeping up with the Joneses. You need to be in competition with yourself and nobody else.
True.
So yes, there's always gonna be somebody with a nicer car. And then once you get the nicest car, there's always gonna be somebody with a helicopter or a bigger house or a jet or a big freaking mountain of a boat, whatever. There's always gonna be somebody better. So stop competing with the world and compete with yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. And to that point, let me just ask you this real quick. We'll wrap it up here in a couple minutes, but to people that are maybe on the fence, whether they're young people, they've been in real estate forever, or they're just new, or they're just thinking of getting into real estate, and they're on the fence whether they should attend this conference, this Gateway to Freedom Real Estate Investment Conference here in St. Louis in November. What would you say is the top reason for attending a conference like this?
Well, it's networking with people, man. Hearing different perspectives on how they do real estate. I've seen the lineup. I mean, you got Jennifer Donnelly, dude. She knows everything there is to know. And that is a woman that has double, triple, quadrupled down on one area. And she went as deep as you possibly go. She knows everything there is to know about Section 8. Yeah. You got Lucas coming up. Yes, Lucas is on, right? Faster Freedom, Faster House?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam's not going to be there. But
right.
Well, maybe he will. Who knows? But yeah. The point is that, those guys have figured out how to leverage real estate and maximize the burst strategy and figure out how to do things without using their own money. Right. My boy, Jimmy, that dude's a friggin' beast, man. I mean, he's just a wealth of knowledge. If you could have 15 minutes of that man's time, plus he's a, insanely healthy individual. But so coming to this event truly, man, is where you should be. If you're on the fence of doing real estate, you don't have to sign up for a course. Everybody's going to be pitching a program probably. That's okay. But just come and listen to what they have to say. Because most of the time, I don't even want you to sign up for my course. I just want you to listen to what I have to say and put some of my advice in because it's tactical. It's tactical advice that you can put in your household and your family. And so then figure out how to leverage that on your own. And the biggest thing that I've been preaching lately is that people need to get their own financial house in order before they start investing any money. And if they want to invest money in real estate, you really have to have your financial house in order. You have to be making more money than you're putting out every month. You have to have zero debt on your credit cards. Okay, if I have a student that comes to me heavily in debt and all these sorts of things, like we've turned away probably half the students that were interested in signing up for STR Accelerator Academy. They weren't financially ready for it. And they wanted to do it, but I knew that if I couldn't guide them to it, then that's going to be a struggle. And that's not like a lot of the companies out there. Right. Like all the big ones you see all over social media, probably catch some criticism for this, but Pace Morby, Cody Sperber, Cole Hatter, Ryan, all those guys, like they'll take your money like that. Here, watch my videos, go get rich, right? Pace has built an amazing following, but at the end of the day, I want to make sure whatever you're going to learn, you need to put to work. But what I will say is to come to the event to see what other players are in the crowd. Don't just look at the speakers. You could have partners in the crowd. You could have your future spouse in the crowd. I mean, you could have anything in the crowd. And to get out of your shell a little bit and go up to somebody and say, hi, my name is Matt. Hi, my name is Rich. I'm interested in investing in real estate, never done it before. Or, hey, get your, this is another nugget here. Yeah. Jason told me this a long time ago. He's like, dude, get your throw up down to 15 seconds. He's like, there's nothing worse than walking up to somebody and listening to them fucking tell me their resume for 10 minutes on all the real estate stuff they've done, all the numbers they've done, all the deals they've done, what their job is, what their dogs' names are. When I'm Matt Hayes, I invest in short-term rentals. Like, nobody really cares, and nobody's really going to retain all that anyways.
Right.
So talk to people. Get out of your box a little bit. Get out of your shell, and figuring out how to make sure you're going to pick the right people, because your vibe is going to attract your tribe. So if the people you're talking to don't mesh with you, go find another group of people. I do it all the time at these events. I love just networking and talking and seeing how I can add value or make someone stay happier. Or if they're involved in something, maybe I can offer a piece of advice, maybe help them steer them down a different path.
Sure.
So.
No, that's awesome. Appreciate that. That's huge. And then one last thing, because this is all about getting to know the speaker, is what would you say is your biggest passion outside of real estate investing?
Oh, family.
Yeah.
Family, wholeheartedly, dude. I love to hunt. But my biggest passion is watching my kids play their sports and watching them win. Yeah. And when they win, that means the world to me. So, we've got football, golf, soccer, competitive dance, archery. We've got all these things in our household. And so that's it for me, dude. I do not have a big ass hobby. My hobby is real estate. It's work. It's my passion. It's what I love to do. But besides that, dude, just home base for me.
Yeah, I hear it, brother. I hear it. That's your why. That's your why, isn't it?
That's it. You got to have a why. If you don't, and you're just trying to chase money, that's stupid.
Yeah. And
if you're young and you don't have your why, let it be for your future why.
Yeah.
So you know what? You want a wife and kids someday? Okay. Well, that's your why. That's your future that you need to work forward to. And you need to make good financial decisions, dude. Stop being an idiot.
Right.
My biggest piece of advice right there: make good financial make good financial decisions and stop being an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. It solves so many problems right there. It does.
When you've got money in the bank and you've got more money coming in than you spend every month, it really gives you clarity.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be nervous that money isn't generating the kind of return that you want. What I would be nervous is parking it into a place that is bad, or hiring the wrong coach that isn't going to provide exactly what you're looking for.
Exactly.
But dude, this is coming from someone who's probably spent $500,000 in mentors and coaches and different programs and things. Some of them were extremely eye-opening. Probably the biggest one is Brandon Dawson. I don't know if you know him. He's Grant Cardone's business partner. Okay. But that was the one that did it for me. Was working with that man, him and Natalie, him and his wife. But then there's been some other flops out there that should not even be in the coaching space. I'm not going to name names, but it is what it is. You gotta look at people that are doing what you want to do, not teaching what you want to do. Yes. If I want to learn a new skill, like say Spanish, right? If I want to learn the language, okay, well then the person they have to know how to speak the language. I can't go learn flipping from someone who read a couple books and did 2 flips. Right. Where's the guy that's done thousands? Right. It doesn't mean that you have to do thousands. You just want to pick up on that guy's mistakes.
Right.
Always get a sewer inspection. Whether you're buying the house as is or not, you get a sewer inspection. If you're new to the game, you have to get an inspection. Yeah. I don't care if you sign the paperwork as is, but if you're going to take that down, you need to know what black mold looks like. You need to know what termite signs are. You need to know what foundation damage looks like. Soil issues, settling. I bought a house that had black mold in the rafters. I had to replace the whole roof. Mm. So you gotta learn off of someone else's experiences. So if you're buying the house as is, take an inspector with you. Yes, it's going to cost you $500,
Right.
It'll be the best $500 because you'll have a freaking blueprint, a report of all the majors that you need to fix. And there could be a major that comes back and you're like, hang on, dude, I know I bought this as is, but you didn't tell me that they built the house with the wrong lumber,
Right.
or there's settling issues in the back that you can't cure without jacking the house up.
Right.
So I'm not saying renege on your deal, but you can always go back to the seller and share with him what you found,
Sure.
whether you bought it as is or not. And you could also tee it up for a wholesale. So I do know a wholesale company that gets inspections, gets the reports, does all this stuff, packages it all nice. Now they're in Arizona. They're making, 50, 60 grand per a wholesale deal.
Right.
But they also spend $2 to $3 grand on each deal. Just anyways, I'm sorry, I'm getting off.
Right. No, you're good, brother. You're good. It's all good, man. It's all good. So one last thing. Sorry, I completely forgot to even ask this earlier. And actually, I like wrapping this up. Maybe that's what I'll do with the whole thing from here on out with all our other speakers. But, the conference called Gateway to Freedom. It's here in St. Louis, November 4th and 5th. People can go to g2free.com to get tickets, information, see the lineup, all of that. But Gateway to Freedom, what does the word freedom mean to you?
Oh, being able to choose what you want to do with your time.
Yeah.
Right now, most people are trading their time for money. So you need to do that for a good portion of your life. But then what you do with that money will determine the future. So right now, like my early days, and I'm still doing it now, like I'll trade my body for time, not in a gross way, but I'll trade my body for time. But then I'll trade my body for money.
Yeah.
And then what I do with that money is I invest that into real estate. And then that real estate works on its own. And now I get the money or the fruit from that investment.
Yeah.
So until you can learn how to flip it, so using your time for money instead of money for time.
Right.
So now that as that money pours in every month, that I have to work little at those investments. That's what the term freedom means. And that's financial freedom.
Yeah.
So having thousands of dollars coming in every month that you didn't have to grind for, clock in, clock out. If not, you're going to be what this is so controversial, but it's just slavery.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's what it is. If you want to go work at Quick Trip or whatever that job is for 10 hours a day and you're getting paid, and then all that money goes out in payments that they sucked you into, between a car payment and a house payment and a credit card payment and a student loan payment, you just became a slave, dude. Just slave for those items.
Yeah.
So those items, the house, the big box to live in, the car you're driving, all that stuff, what you need to get to is a point of, people like to use the term fuck you money, but there's very few people that have ever truly reached that.
Right.
But a point of clarity.
Yeah.
Where you're like, you know what? I'm not taking that extra shift.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? I'm good. I think I'm gonna start my business now. When you have that going, you know what? I think I'm going to invest in real estate today. I've got the money saved. I did what Matt said. I traded my body for money, my time for money. Now I'm going to trade my money for time. So I take my money, my 100, 200, 300 grand or 10 grand, whatever, and I invest it into real estate. The other thing too, man, people need to save more money. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why do I keep hearing time and time again on all these ads, all this social media reels, is that your money's losing money or lose? No, it's not. Okay. What loses money is paying 25% on interest, $5 cup of coffee instead of getting a home brew. Well, I'm sorry, that's a cheap cup. What is it, $10 now?
Right.
That's losing money.
Right.
You need to save.
Yeah.
People forget. And I'm sorry, I've done a total 180 on this because 5 years ago, I was saying the opposite. But again, you get to that point of clarity and you're like, holy shit, cash is king.
Right.
And that's how I weathered last year, man, is I was able to pull this whole thing off. because I had been working my ass up for a very, very long time. And so anyway, so that's where I'm at with it, man. Financial freedom is possible,
right?
But you have to do it in the right way. And I would urge anybody watching this or anybody interested in getting into real estate is to do it, slow it first, and do it smart.
Yeah.
You don't need to buy a house every single month like some of these people do or tell you to. How about start with one a year if you've got nothing?
Right.
If you're 25 and you buy one house a year for 20 years and you got 20 houses, you probably got a $5-6 million exit
right
by the time you're 40, 50 years old. I mean, tell me if somebody wouldn't want that, but nobody wants to put in the time that it takes to do that because the fruits of that labor don't get recognized until probably like 4 or 5, 6 years later.
Right.
So spend the time doing that and do it right, and do it for real.
Right.
There's no get rich quick, but there is get rich for real. I can guarantee you that.
Heck yeah. You're right. Well, Matt, hey, how can people how can people get a hold of you or follow you or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, the best place, again, I'm not a social media guru like some of my buddies, but you can definitely just follow me here on Facebook or Instagram. If you want to chat with me, just throw me a DM. It's me. It's not a VA that's going to, I don't want to give him my cell phone and he's just spam the living hell out of me for the next 2 years.
Right.
No, it's me. We do have our program, STR Accelerator Academy. It's not cheap. It's not for everybody. But if you've got some money in the bank and you're interested in getting into real estate the right way, well, then we want to help you do that.
Awesome. Well, hey, buddy, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. I really am grateful for all the extra time you gave us today. So
yeah, absolutely.
Really, really looking forward to this conference, buddy, and hearing you light up the room with your your Airbnb stuff, buddy. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, dude. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks. Talk to you soon.
We'll see you, man.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.